Lighting design is the art of putting light where you want it and taking it away from where you don't. This is true whether you're lighting a play in New York, a building in London, or a model in Vectorworks. In this video, we'll look at how easy it is to focus or point lights in Vectorworks so you can start lighting your designs with more control and confidence. There are a few different types of lights in Vectorworks. They all behave a little bit differently from each other. Understanding how to focus them is key to being able to properly light your model. The first big difference between types of lights in Vectorworks is if they are spotlight lighting instruments, a heliodon, or if they are out of the light tool in the visualization palette. There are different times you might want to use these different tools depending on what you're trying to do. Within the light tool, there are four types of lights. Directional lights, a parallel beam that simulates light like the sun. Its intensity is uniform across the scene. These are not geolocated. Point lights, omnidirectional light that emits from a single point in space, much like a traditional bare light bulb. Point lights can't be focused, only placed. Spotlights, not to be confused with theatrical lighting instruments, but very similar. Spotlights are a conical light that points from a specific direction with adjustable beam angles, fall off, and drop off. Custom lights. These are much like spotlights, but they are driven by IES files that come from third-party lighting manufacturers. These IES files provide real-world lighting data, such as intensity and distribution patterns of the light. Directional lights are unaffected by their height. They can be focused at insertion using the set direction mode. Your first click will set the location of the light, and your second click will let you point the light. After you've set the light, you can change the elevation of it by adjusting the slider. It is useful to note that the arrow will point towards the direction of where you have the light focused. Directional lights have no fall off. They will continue on forever until they hit an object. Point lights can't be focused, but they can be placed around a scene. They are affected by things like Z height and distance fall off. Again, they are most like a bare light bulb. Spotlights in the visualization toolset act like a traditional floodlight. Think of them like a floodlight in your backyard, maybe a par 38. They have a few more parameters than a directional light, such as beam, spread, and distance fall off. How high you place them in the scene will affect what you are able to light with them. When you first select the Spotlight tool, the Light Preferences dialog will pop up. Select Spotlight Specs and enter in the beam and spread and select the distance fall off. When you click OK, you'll be able to place the light with your first click and then focus it with your second click. One important thing to note is that the light will have a default height of 0. If you have the light below your floor or ground, you will not see it. Once you've set the location of the spotlight, you'll be able to use the pan and tilt sliders to fine-tune the focus of the light. It can be useful to either do this in wireframe or to have display light objects set to always while you're doing this. Lights can be focused in both 2D plan view or 3D view. It can also be helpful to use multi-view mode. I've got one set up for a custom view and my other view is set up to plan view. Let's talk about the pan and tilt sliders and what they mean for a moment. Pan will sweep the light left and right across the X and Y axes. A positive pan value will move the beam of light towards the left of the screen when looking at it in plan view. A negative value will move it to the right-hand side. Tilt will adjust the light beam up and down. A tilt value of 0 will set the light parallel to the ground. A tilt value of 90 will point the light straight down. Negative tilt values will move the light up towards the sky or ceiling. Positive will move the light towards the floor. When you set the tilt to 90 or minus 90, the pan will lock to 0. Custom lights are fixtures that receive IES distribution files. When you select the custom light mode, a window will pop up asking for a distribution file. These files are often found on manufacturer websites. Once you've located the IES file and loaded it into the custom light, you can place it into your model. The IES file will determine the brightness, shape, and size of the light. These are real-world measured values. Custom lights will also let you set a light rotation angle. This is useful if you have a linear or oblong lighting fixture. The heliodon tool is a directional light based on real-world coordinates. It can be used for making solar animations that are based on the time of day and the date of year. Focusing the heliodon is just a matter of placing it in your scene, rotating the compass until it is facing north in your drawing, and telling the heliodon where on the earth it is, and then enter in the time of day. The heliodon doesn't focus so much as it replicates the sun. The last category of lights is specific to Vectorworks Spotlight. Spotlight lighting instruments are theatrical lighting fixtures. They are added to a drawing using the lighting device tool from the lighting palette. One of the great features of these types of lights is that they can draw their beams as wireframe or solid objects. This makes it much easier to see where they are pointed. There are a few types of ways to focus these types of lights. The first is to use the pan and tilt fields. These will work exactly the same as they do for the other types of lights we've already looked at. With the draw beam turned on, you can focus your lights without needing the lighting instrument to actually be turned on. The next way to quickly point spotlight lighting devices is to use focus points. Focus points act like targets for the light to point toward. You can set the Z height of focus points in the OIP and then do most of your workflow in 2D plan view. Another way to focus several lights at once is to use the focus lighting devices along path command. Select a group of lights, invoke the tool. You can choose to use either an existing path object or draw a new one. The lights will spread across the entire length of the line depending on which mode of the tool you're in. You can also use the focus lighting devices command and control groups of lights to all focus together. There are options for fanning the lights out across pan and or tilt, homing the lighting devices, or simply pick focus and have all the selected lights point to the same spot. It should also be pointed out that spotlight lighting devices have shutters that can further refine the shape and beam of light. Now that you've seen different types of lights in Vectorworks and how to get them pointing where you want them, you'll be able to create more accurate and visually compelling models and renderings. Whether you're working with simple visualization lights, heliodons for sun studies, or full theatrical lighting and spotlight, the ability to focus your lights is what brings your designs to life.